Gonna give my subs a reaction video. Subs love reaction videos. So OG fans of my TikTok channel may recognize this.
Welcome back to So You Want to Be a Gamemaster.
If you do, thank you so much for sticking with me this long. That was a while ago. If you don't recognize that, that was a series that I did way back on TikTok called So You Want to Be a Gamemaster. A series of shorter videos where I attempt to break down the barriers that some people feel about becoming a Game Master. So today we're going to watch some of these videos and see how it holds up. Please note, yes, I am well aware that the production quality of these is going to be bad, and that's not what I'm commenting on today, alright? Leave it. Or don't. Hate me in the comments. Go for it. It helps me either way.
Welcome back to So You Want to Be a Gamemaster.
Oh, I didn't realize that the quality was oof. That's, yeah, that's, look at this glow up, though. Look at this. Look at this. Oh, beautiful. Your boy's kicking goals now.
I really want to run games, but I don't know where to get started. This is honestly one of the more common issues that I've heard in my time.
It still is. It's still a very common thing that I hear is people saying, oh, you know, I would love to run games, but I don't know where to get started. And it's not entirely what they mean. Because it's like, you know where to get started. What I found they mean is they feel overwhelmed by it because there's so many books and there's so much to go on and all that. It's overwhelming is what is meant in that situation. And that's something that we can cover in a later video.
Well, this answer might sound obvious, but it's obvious for a reason. The first thing you're going to want to need is a copy of the Dungeon Master's Guide or the equivalent for whatever system you're running.
In hindsight, you don't even really need the Dungeon Master's Guide. You need the Player's Handbook. You need the core rulebook for whatever system that you're running. The Dungeon Master's Guide, honestly, it is good to have. It is in no way essential to run games. You can run games completely off the Player's Handbook and whatever core rulebook you have for whatever system that you're running.
Remember that for some systems this may just be the core rulebook. However, if you are running D&D, you can also pick up the starter set, which comes with pretty much everything you need to get started, including a sample adventure called the Mines of Fendelver.
Most systems now will have a like a starter set. They're really good. I've got the one for what's it called? Soulstorm, the Warhammer Age of Sigmar Soulstorm up there. I'm yet to run it, but I'm excited for it.
Speaking of which, I would highly recommend running a pre-written adventure for your first game. They are the microwave dinners of the TRPG world, and you pick them up at some websites for about $1.
In hindsight, be very careful about which module you buy. I still stand by that modules do make running your first game a lot easier. However, a lot of modules, especially Dungeons and Dragons official modules, are dumpster fires. So just be wary and have a look online at the reviews for certain modules.
However, for the thrifty or those on a tight budget, Wizards of the Coast has released a PDF of the basic rules, which is great for DMs. I will put a link to it in the comments.
Wow, Wizards of the Coast actually doing something nice for a change. Who knew? So for the most part that holds up, but a lot of that's very basic stuff. We will recover that as part of Game Master Academy, just because it's a good place to start. There are a few additional things that I've realized since then surrounding knowing the rules and what rules you need to know, and also a few things I've realized about tabletop games that makes learning new systems a lot easier. But that's something we'll cover in another video. But yeah, wow, this production quality is, whew, had no idea how to light at all. Cool.
Welcome back to So You Want to Be a Gamemaster.
Same blanche lighting, and God, I was fit then. Okay, yep. Let's keep going.
Really want to run games, but I don't feel like I know enough about the game. Do you know the basic rules? Can you play the game without asking a bunch of questions? If you answered yes to either of those, you should know enough to run a game.
It's mostly that simple, really. Like, what you see beyond that, behind the screen, is ill-gotten bravado and general anxiety. Yeah, really, that still stands true to me.
One of the reasons that I so highly recommend running a pre-written adventure for your first game is it should give you all of the information you need to run the game, while also allowing you to find your style of play.
Can you hear me rushing my words, trying to get it all within a minute? Yeah, that was fun, because that was before you could edit videos on TikTok. You had to get it all in that one bit, so I had to, like, see how long it took me to say a certain thing, and then, like, set that amount of recording and hope it fit. But absolutely, if you can find a good module or pre-written adventure, especially one that's recommended for beginners, it is a really great way to cut your teeth on TTRPGs.
So know the basics, grab your party, grab an adventure, and get into it. No worries.
It's that simple, thanks me! But yeah, it's knowing enough about the game, knowing certain mechanics, and knowing certain mechanics that are usually fairly common throughout the TTRPG world, is a huge boost for you running games. And again, as I've stated in previous videos, 90% of your learning will happen during play, because you'll very quickly learn what you easily forget, what has stuck with you, and, you know, how you run games. Next video!
Welcome back to So You Want to Be a Game Master.
Ooh, natural lighting for this one. Look at this. That's better.
Really want to run games, but there are no players in my area.
God, I miss my hair so much. I miss my long hair so much.
This can be a tough one for obvious reasons. I can present to you two options. Your friendly local game shop and virtual tabletop platforms.
So, your friendly local game shop or local community center or something like that, quite often, especially nowadays, you should find at least other people who are interested in tabletop games. Virtual tabletops can be hit or miss. Generally, I've found that you can find some really great stuff, but you can also find some very toxic people. And yeah, it's a struggle sometimes, but both are options. There's also certain websites that you can find. Unfortunately, it means that you usually have to pay, but there are certain websites you can find, or Discord groups that can help you find a tabletop party.
If you do have a friendly local game shop in your area, even if it is just a board game or pop culture shop, most of them will at least have connections to tabletop programs or groups.
Yeah, so here in Melbourne, I don't know if it's there anymore, but we used to have a Games Laboratory, and they often had tabletop game nights or groups available within their community. So if you went in to ask, they would often have at least someone they could direct you to.
Or if you have friends that live overseas, out of reasonable driving range, or you're going through some sort of pandemic lockdown,
Ow.
then a virtual tabletop platform might be what you're looking for. Google it, there's a bunch of them, and some of them are free.
I'm unsure if...
Even running games through Discord can be feasible. Also, there are a lot of tabletop groups and pages on social media looking for GMs.
There it is. If you find them on Facebook and all that, just be wary that, yes, there's a lot of grossness in the TTRPG community, as there is in all of the nerd community. So yeah, don't feel afraid to step away if you're feeling uncomfortable or like there's something off. No tabletop games are better than bad tabletop games.
I really want to run games, but I feel like I need to know everything about the game world. You don't. Next question.
Your boy here just spitting facts. That was great. Yeah, you really don't.
But seriously, if you're running a pre-written adventure or module, all you really need to know is the information written down in that adventure. And you might want to know some of the information about what your players have chosen for their characters, e.g. gods, organizations, that sort of thing.
What's going on with my voice for this video? One of the main reasons that I suggest running a module or a pre-written adventure for your first game is because everything that you need to know about the game or the world is in that book. Outside of that, you can really make up whatever you want, unless it's something that a player has chosen, e.g., as I said, just a god or a guild that they're part of or something, and you may need to flesh that out a little bit, depending on the length of the adventure.
However, if you are delving into the wonderful world of homebrew or sandbox worlds, the main piece of advice I would give is this. You need to know enough about your world to comfortably make up what you don't.
There's something about that doesn't... I think that's something that's very subjective to different people. But generally what I mean in that is, if you know enough about the world that you can take those context clues and make up something that a player has asked you on the fly, you're good.
As a game master, you will get used to making stuff up in play. However, if you do, write it down.
I cannot stress enough how important it is to take notes as a GM. There are so many times that I will go into a session and I have no idea, and suddenly I'm relying on my player's recap of the last session for me to write down my notes. Don't do that. You forget what characters sound like. You forget what seeds you've planted already. It's a mess. write stuff down, take notes.
Two other skills that are very useful in this context are improv and reskinning. I will talk about those in another video.
I'm not sure I did. I'm not sure I went back and did those videos. I am a bad content creator. That's okay. But yes, both of those things. Improv is a major skill for game masters. As I stated in previous videos, it doesn't entirely need to be improv off the top of your head. There are skills that you can use and strategies that you can use to make that easier for you, and things you can do to prep without prepping, if that makes sense. It doesn't, but
I really want to run games, but I don't think I'll be any good. This one hurts.
you will never feel like you're ready. Just start playing. If you want to do it, do it. You will learn by playing, believe me. First time, it will be nerve-wracking, but if you jump into it, you will be fine.
I will start by saying this. It is extremely difficult to run a TRPG wrong.
Oh, back when I was saying TRPG, not TTRPG. I mean, TRPG makes more sense, I think, because it's tabletop, and it's one word, so you wouldn't say TT, you just say TRPG. But also, I feel like TTRPG just sounds better. TTRPG, I don't know. Argue in the comments about that.
Generally speaking, if you're a decent human being and you care about the fun of your players, you're going to do fine. Stop doubting yourself.
Ow. Okay. Yep. I'm good. Self-doubt and anxiety are one of the main things. Imposter syndrome is a huge thing for game masters. And it's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. I still get it. I still absolutely get imposter syndrome as a game master. But it is the dumbest thing. This is a game. You don't get imposter syndrome playing Monopoly. You don't get imposter syndrome playing a Pictionary. Stop it. Get some help.
Your playstyle is absolutely valid. Grab a pre-written adventure and jump on in. Nothing to worry about.
Oh, that's perfect. Perfectly said. Well done. 10 points.
I really want to run games, but I've had a bad experience with it.
This is something I was talking about in my 5 Things I Wish I Knew video. So many people I have spoken to who have stated they have run games before and they had a really crap party who harassed them or made fun of them for getting stuff wrong or not knowing all of the rules or just being a woman or person of color or something like that in the industry. And it's really difficult for people to pick it up again and try again, but it's amazing when they do. So please, if you've had a bad experience, if you don't want to come back, don't worry about it. That's cool. Have a wonderful life. But also, I would highly recommend you try it again because there are some wonderful people here and we want to meet you. Come on down.
This can be a rough area to talk about because I have heard some very bad experiences and I don't want to disqualify those. Generally speaking, if you have had a bad experience on either side of the game screen, learn from it. Analyze it. Figure out what about the situation was handled poorly and think about what you can do better in the future.
All of that is true. However, there's a lot of it that's also about addressing your game style, addressing your players, and learning to communicate. Communication is key for any tabletop game, or any game, really. So yeah, being open to communicate with your players, and if you feel like you can't be open and communicate with your players, leave. But also, yeah, finding other people, new people who appreciate what you do.
If this experience was with another person, sit down and have a conversation with them after the game about it. Just as in life, in tabletop games, we make mistakes, and as long as you own up to it, apologize, and learn, you'll be fine.
Yes, 100%, if you have made a mistake and something is going wrong, own up to it, apologize, and learn. However, I don't know if I hit the nail on the head with this one. I'm not sure. Because yes, as far as if you are learning and you make a mistake, own up to it, figure out what went wrong, deal with it. However, when it comes to bad experiences, as I said, analyze it, figure out what was bad about it. If what was bad about it was your players are jerks who, you know, make fun of you or get angry with you because you get stuff wrong, just don't play in that party anymore. Like, try and talk to them, absolutely. You should absolutely try to communicate with them straight up. But also, just don't play with that party anymore. Find a new party. Ugh.
I want to run games, but I'm worried that a more experienced GM will pull me up on the rules and derail my game. Oh lordy, I feel this one.
Oh god, okay. Yeah, that's a fun one. Oh god, I want to tell a story, but I'm not sure I'm allowed to. Just give me a second.
Hey, dude.
Hey, just a quick question. I want to tell a story on YouTube about, me running games for you as a whole, like, running for an experienced DM thing. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine. As
Alright.
long as, you know, you give me all of the credit. I'm kidding. It is totally okay.
Alright, cool. Cheers, bud. Okay. As we were. So when I first started running games, I was running a game for a group of players, one of which was my GM, who was a forever GM, and it very quickly became apparent that he couldn't let go of the reins. He would cut in at certain points, he would constantly change his voice, and he would sort of take control of the narrative in a way that was very much stepping on my toes. This obviously frustrated me, so after a certain session, I took him aside and discussed it with him. In this case, he did acknowledge that he was feeling that way and was struggling to let go of that side of the screen, so he decided to step down. But since then, I have run games with him, and he's calmed down a lot, so kudos. Once again, it really comes down to communication. If you're running a game and you feel like someone is overstepping their role, or stepping on your toes, or trying to take the game away from you, just pause the game, or after the session, take them aside and discuss it with them. And sometimes people have to step away from the game. That is a normal thing.
There is a line that rings true for most tabletop games. It is written in most books in some form, and is solely responsible for the fluidity of most systems. GM has final ruling.
Ooh, look at your boy being authoritative. God. Yes. In most systems, in pretty much all systems, there is at least somewhere in the book a phrase along those lines. GM has final say, GM has final ruling, and that is how the game continues. Otherwise, it just becomes a cluster bang of people yelling at each other.
If a player raises a rule or mechanic that you're not sure about and they're starting to argue and slow down the game, just make a ruling, write it down, and let them know that you'll check the proper rules in the break or after the game.
Still a good strategy. 100% that is a surefire way to keep your game moving and on track. It doesn't bog you down in arguments, it doesn't get you rummaging through the books, just make a ruling and check it before the next session.
Welcome back to So You Want to Be a Game Master. Want to run games, but I'm not comfortable doing voices. You don't have to.
100%. If you're running games and you don't like doing voices, or you don't want to do voices, or you don't think you're good at doing voices, you're not Matt Mercer, you're not Laura Bailey, don't do voices. Just make sure you have a way of denoting who's talking, because it can get confusing sometimes. There's also ways you can do voices without doing accents. I think most people struggle more doing accents than doing voices.
It's your game, run it how you want. There are many GMing styles, and not all of them include doing voices. All of them are valid to the right players.
You can go whole hog with accents and inflections.
Wow, that was potentially culturally insensitive, but yeah, point in case.
Or you can adjust your posture and just change your tone so your players know that you're speaking in character.
Was that an accent? I don't know if that was an accent, but also, yeah, 100%.
Or you can just narrate what your characters say the same way as you narrate what they do, just so that your players know what's happening.
It is 100% okay for you to narrate what players say, what characters say and do, if that's what you want to do, if that's what you're comfortable with. And if players don't like it, that's how you run games, so they can play in another game.
And while this may affect levels of immersion for some players, at the end of the day, it's all about what you're comfortable with. And if you're not comfortable doing funny voices, then don't do them.
The subject of doing voices is a tricky one, because I feel like everyone feels like they have to do it, but they also really don't. It's not in any way a requirement. It is a perk. It's a nice thing that people think if you're good at it. But also, to get good at it, as I believe Matt Colville said at one point, you need to be willing to look like an idiot for a little while. At least a little while. Because when you start off doing a voice, your player's going to sit there and go, what the hell is he doing? Why is he doing this voice? He looks like an idiot. And that's fine, as long as that's okay with you. But yeah, there are a lot of ways that you can change your voice without doing a full accent character. So simply changing your pitch, your posture, and your vocabulary is a big one. If you focus a lot on vocabulary, that can be very interesting. There's a few resources that you can find online talking about the difference between, I believe it's intellectual and emotional language, so vocabulary. And that really helps. because that will heavily inform your character or your players of what sort of character this is.
Welcome back to So You Want to Be a Game Master. I want to run games, but I'm worried about the Mercer effect. Oh boy. For those of you who don't know, the Mercer effect is the idea that due to the popularity of Critical Role, that all GMs are being held to this impossible standard of Matt Mercer.
It is the dumbest thing. It is the dumbest thing because it goes against everything that Matt Mercer has tried to do. Matt Mercer would want you to run games. Go run games.
While we focus on this effect, we're missing the key point of it. You are not Matt Mercer. Unless you are Matt Mercer, in which case, hi.
God damn it. Look at me being a fanboy.
Anyway, you are talking about an experienced and professional voice actor who has dedicated most of his life to the performing arts and Dungeons & Dragons. Got a fair advantage on most of us.
Pretty much. If you're comparing yourself to Matt Mercer, you've missed a key point, which is Matt Mercer has made this his job. His job is to do characters, to understand how characters work. He has also, from what I understand, been running games since he was like 10. So, just don't.
However, honestly, with the Mercer effect, I find it often boils down to communication. If you think your players aren't having a good time, talk to them. Find out things they want in a game, things they like about your game, areas that you could improve in. Being a game master is about learning and adapting, and you can't do that without communicating.
Generally speaking, what you will find is players who complain about the Mercer effect, or that, you know, you're not as good as Matt Mercer. First of all, they either want a production level, such as Critical Role, or your game is not living up to their standards as far as actual gameplay. Like, they don't, like, you are running a game that they do not enjoy, or a game style they don't enjoy. Some people just want to be heroes. If you're running a grungy underbelly game where everything sucks and it's hard, then yeah, they're not going to have a good time. So just communicate with your players. Anyway, that's all the time we have for that right now, but there were some really good points there and some really great stuff to build on. If you have any questions on top of that or anything that you would like addressed in my videos, please let me know in the comments. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe, ring the bell, all the things that Machine likes, and I will see you in the next video. Have a good one, y'all.